Yep, ready to go.
Okay. So I am just going to welcome to learning about being part of the Winner's Circle. Let me just first say that in no way, shape, or form does attending this Zoom meeting or listening to it recorded afterwards guarantees you a win. So just so you guys know, I'm putting that out there. Um, I am Jamie Sullivan. I am the awards chair. I do not score the awards. I just make sure that they are scored fairly. I put together the teams and I make sure I review all the submittals that come in to make sure they meet the qualifications. And then I also help with the committee to have the actual awards banquet. And with me, I have Shelby Shear. So Shelby has been writing and winning awards for the past several years. And so when I was asked if I could put something together as kind of a tips and information on how to submit a workshop, Shelby was the first one that came to mind because her submittals have been so well written and she has been the recipient of many awards. So we're your team for today.
Next page.
Shelby's going to run the show. I'm going to do the first half. And then Shelby will take over the second half. So I do talk fast. So we are recording this. We're going to ask that you guys write your questions down and we're going to save those to the end. Again, I want to keep this to an hour. I want you to get the information you came for. And if somebody has multiple questions that kind of slow down the vibe, we will just take those at the end and we will spend all the time we need answering your questions. So if you need to jump off in an hour's time, hopefully you will have gotten the information that you needed. So quickly, the learning outcomes. Briefly, I'm going to talk about the history of the awards, why you should submit, how the committee works, and how you can serve. We'll touch on the award categories, how they're scored. I have why submit in there twice because it's super important. And I just forgot to take it out. How to encourage those within your department to submit, and then best practices for writing and submitting, and then we'll end with questions. So we are in our 75th year of celebrating. So this next conference in August is going to be a really big one because it's our 75th year. I have been able to find records going back to 2006, and I have compiled a list of all of the winners since then. And that is on the APRA website where the award section is. So if you're wanting to know, maybe you're new to your city, have they won this award recently? You don't want to submit it again. Or if you just want to see who typically seems to be winning these things, there is a list. And if you find that my list is wrong, please email me if you have something going way back further than what I could find. Historically, the awards is hosted at the APRA conference in August. And this year, because it is the 75th year, we are going to try to do it up nice. And I have asked for it to be almost a black tie affair. I don't want to quite say that because we might lose some folks, but I would like it to be a little bit dressier this year. So why should you submit? So if you are looking for funding, if you are looking for to get kudos in the press, being able to put on your program, on your facility, on your people that this is a award-winning and is recognized by the state as an award-winning program, that's always going to look really good on those grant applications. You do want to showcase your department and your staff to your political figures, to your boards, to your commission. Anytime a city wins an award, usually they're presenting it in front of a commission and then to city council. You want them, this is how we tell our story. So if you've been going to conference long enough, you've seen lots of sessions about telling your story, the importance of Parks and Rec, letting them know that you guys are, because they don't always see it, or if they do see it, again, it might be in a social media press, it might be, yeah, we do this Halloween event every year, but when it is state recognized, it's really hard for them to dismiss that. If anything, it is growth for your staff. So if you have staff beneath you, I highly encourage you to get them to learn. Now, I would have said 2 years ago that it's really important for them to learn writing skills. Well, now you have AI and it can do that for you, but you still have to know how to put things together, and it's a great growth opportunity for them. You deserve to be recognized. Your staff deserve to be recognized. I can't tell you how many times I've just wanted my staff to do it because I wanted them to be proud of the work and I wanted to share that with our peers. And so if you do good work, you should try to put your foot out there so that people will recognize it. If you're going to write them, it's I've written plenty when I had staff under me. I did it to appreciate the work that they did, and I wanted them to show that I recognize what they do and that it's important. And lastly, it's a great reason to attend the awards banquet. If you haven't been, it's a really nice, it's a well done event. It's almost like going to a wedding. It's a plated dinner. We put together these amazing videos. And when you win an award, it's really hard for people to tell you, no, you can't go. So a little bit about the awards committee. So the committee is made up of about 15 individuals from around the state. Some of them work in parks, some of them work in recreation, some of them are independent of the field, but maybe they work for an HOA or they work for a developer. Our goal is to have a diverse group of people from all over different sectors. We try to get large populations and we try to get small populations. We then divide that group up into smaller groups for scoring purposes. Depending on the number of entries, committee members could be reading and scoring up to 25 to 35 entries in a 3-week period. That comes into play when Shelby starts talking to you about how you should be writing your submittals. The committee, we only meet a few times a year, so we meet to review all of the submittals to say, here's your homework, here's your deadlines, and then we meet after everybody has scored. We review the scores, and if we have discrepancies, if we have concerns, if we don't agree, that's at that point we start having those conversations. If you are interested in serving on this committee, feel free to reach out to me. We're always looking for a few more. Last year, we took in over 100 submittals. I think we were close to 120. So the more submittals I get, the more folks I'm going to have on the committee to be able to divide up those smaller groups. I definitely don't. I prefer committee members only read and score about 30 entries. So the award. Oh, Sal, that's okay. You'll catch up. So the award categories. We have 11 different categories with 22 different winners. And the reason why there's multiple winners is because in several of the categories, there's different population sizes. So for the facility awards, it's broken up by population. Outstanding program is different up into 7 different categories. Special event is divided up by population categories. We have had categories come and we've had categories go. We have a lot of opinions on what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Last year, we did add the Lifetime Achievement Award. So that is fairly new, but there are no changes this year compared to last year. A couple of hints, and what I'm about to say could be completely different, but what I have seen over my 20 years of being involved in the committee is the most competitive awards and the hardest to win is partnership, young professional, and volunteer of the year. These are categories that we can easily see up to 15 to 20 nominations in these categories. On average, we'll see 6 to 8. Depending on funding and how the world is going, facility awards can be very competitive. It goes in a cycle. So one year, I remember that there was like 6 or 7 facilities in each category. Budgets were healthy, economy was healthy. Then if you could imagine in the recession and the years to follow, we were lucky to get 1 or 2. So I always tell people, don't choose to submit because you might think it'd be too hard, because you never know. You might think, oh, there's lots of facilities being built, but they might all be thinking the same thing you are, and then nobody puts in. When we reach the program awards, again, it can be very hit and miss. Especially I will throw out aquatics, adaptive, and active adult. I have seen some years where aquatics will have 2 submittals, and then the next year it will have 8. So these 3 categories seem to fluctuate, and I'm not quite sure why that is. So I just want to kind of throw that out there and let you guys do with that information as you wish. So how the awards are scored. Sometimes you can write the very, very best submittal, but you might be going up to someone else who also wrote the very best submittal, and it might be the difference between grammar. So when the committee gets all of their submittals in their category, well, even before that, let me take a step back. As the submittals come in, I will review them, and I make sure that if they are a facility award, a young professional, that they meet the qualifications, because those two have very specific qualifications. The facility has to be built and opened by, I think, April of that year, but pay attention to that. And then the young professional has to be 35, I think, by the end of the year. So once I meet those, once I check those and I make sure that they've paid, then I start to put them in their groups. Depending on the number of entries, it's kind of like putting together a puzzle. So the groups are put together, and then I put together the categories, but I have to make sure that individual committee members are not scoring their own awards. So it's highly frowned upon. It never happens, at least not under my watch. So they won't score their own category. In the very rare circumstance where I couldn't pull them out, they just will read the other submittals, but not in that category. I know that doesn't make sense. So if they're given 4 categories to score, they just won't score that one category. And then their average, they won't weigh into the average. So then we try to have all the committee members will score the people awards, or a larger amount of committee members. So if I normally have 5 scoring facility awards, program awards, when it comes to the volunteer of the year, the young professional, professional lifetime, I will probably have 10 to 12 people. So I have a higher average. So everybody meets, they all read them on their own, they all score them on their own. We don't score them as a group. So it is truly what that score, what that individual feels is their best score. They put them all into a grid. That grid comes to me. I put all those numbers together. Sometimes it will be very apparent that somebody scored something really low or really high. We do have a conversation about that. If they didn't do that on all their submittals, I might be like, why did you score them so low? And they might have seen something in that submittal that nobody else did. And when they brought it to our attention, they would be like, oh yeah, why did they even put in? I don't understand that facility never actually opened. It shouldn't have been scored in the first place. So when anything is super close, we do have conversations, but I will tell you that I have seen people win and lose over a quarter of a point. A quarter. So when Shelby talks about how to write and she shows you and tells you what to do, know that it is that close. I get people who call me and say, why didn't I win? Can you tell me why I didn't win? Please remember, I don't read the awards, but I will go back and I will look at my notes, and I can tell you, one year somebody from the city of Mesa did a submittal and half of it was missing. Now, I don't know that half of it is missing because I'm not reading it until it goes to the committee member. So I'm like, yeah, if we would have seen the other half, you might have had a shot. Sometimes it really is. There is not anything that I can recommend you doing other than resubmitting. And I guarantee you, when you're sitting at the awards banquet and you hear the person who beat you, you're either going to recognize why, or you'll be mad and you'll be like, mine was just as good as that. I don't understand. So I know it's complicated, and if you have questions, I'm happy to get into that more later. The next biggest question that I get from people when they start to fill out their awards is, I can't find it on the website. So this link, if you were to take this exact link and copy and paste it, it should take you right to the awards. But should you just go to the main page, Shelby and I are going to walk you through the website so that way you can see for yourself. I did take some notes of some ways to improve it. So when you get to, well, when you
I-
were, that's okay. If you get to the main page, you're going to go to where it has the conference. So it has a conference tab, and then when you click on conference, it says awards. When you click on that, it takes you to this page. So this page has some general information. And then to get to your categories, you actually have to click on the awards category. We're going to try to make that a button because I think that's where people get hung up. In here is listed all the categories. To see how they're scored, you'll click on that particular award. So Shelby, just pick any one of them. We give you the score sheet. So this is how your, this is what you should write to, and this is how it is scored. Shelby will talk about this in a little bit in regards to writing your supplement. So that is the back history. That's what I know. That is my portion of how I manage the awards committee. So when you have questions about how to find the website, if you have questions about how it's scored, you want to be on the awards committee. If you have questions specifically about the awards banquet, feel free to reach out to me. I will share with you that should you win an award, the awards banquet is not free. It can't be. And I know that it feels weird to say, congratulations, you've won an award. If you'd like to pick it up, you need to pay us this amount of money. I promise you, if you can't afford or your city isn't willing to pay for you to come and you just want to come and get your award, I can make that arrangement. I can also make the arrangement for us to present the award to you at a council meeting and you don't even have to come. But think of it as a wedding, and that is what APRA is charged per plate. I want to say last year we were charged $145 per person. It's usually included in your full conference, but if you needed additional tickets, so you, I mean, Buck, I love you guys, but if you win an award, I know that there's 3 tables full of you, like, and I love it. Bring as many people as you want. But you do have to pay for those additional tickets for whoever is coming that didn't have or chose to attend conference. So should you win, you'll get an email from me saying, congratulations, you won. Should you lose, you get an email. So sorry you lost, try again next year. And then you'll get further directions if you want of what we need from you next after winning. And those notifications go out in June is when we start to send those out. So at this time, if you have questions, write them down. And I will get back to them at the end, but I am going to give the reason why you guys are here is you want to know those tips. So I'm going to turn it over to Shelby.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. I'm just going to say a disembodied voice because I'm also running the little PowerPoint here. But welcome to everybody. As far as writing, this is a quote from Mark Twain because writing is not easy to do. And getting all of the concepts of your programs into writing. So this is just a nice reminder from Mr. Twain. When you start award writing, you need to start early. And I just kind of letting you know, our team in Marana met last week. We pulled together our leadership team and everyone that knows about programming and started brainstorming. So I would recommend that if you are thinking about doing an award, you need to start thinking together with your leadership team and your program team. You're going to, again, assemble your awards team. That usually is a blend of your department leadership, your program staff, and your communication staff. And everybody has different department needs and requirements. The reason why communication should be involved is because they're probably coming to your events. And if you're writing about a particular, let's say a children's soccer program, if you're not getting good photos of it, you need to make sure your communication staff or whoever takes your really good photos for your department starts getting those together, because a part of your submission is the marketing piece too. It's not just the writing. and or you also videography. If you have a budget, video is also ideal. You definitely are going to want to evaluate your current programs against the APRA award categories that we just showed you. And you want to identify your top options. And the way that you do that is that you need to discuss the strengths of your programs, and you really need to think about innovation, what makes your program unique. A lot of departments across the state have soccer programs. What makes your soccer program in particular interesting, innovative, that it could stand up to somebody else's soccer program and potentially win an award for it? What is the impact? How many people are served? That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be serving thousands of people. Impact really needs to show like the need of the community. So that is going to be different in everybody's community. And then the meat and the potatoes of the program. I'm just going to go back to the soccer program, fake story here. But, if you're doing a soccer program and it's just straight up for recreation, that might not hold up against somebody else's program that maybe they're servicing adaptive needs children, and they also are collecting food for the food bank. So really think about the meat and potatoes of that particular program and what makes it award winning. And then you also have to think about your supporting marketing material availability. You might have a really, really great program and your whole staff love it. And maybe that year, because it was the first year you guys did it, you didn't get great photos or you didn't get video. And so you can't really show in the marketing material like really good images, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, and those marketing materials coincide with your submission. So I'm not saying create programs to win awards, but you should be thinking about like, oh, this potentially is an award-winning program. We're going to invest some time and money and effort into getting some good collateral for it, just in case we do win. And then just ask yourself, perspective wise, is this program the best of the best in the entire state of Arizona? And that's kind of a North Star for me when I'm writing and or talking to our staff, like, is this the best of the best in our opinion? We can't tell who we're up against, but in our opinion, we have the goods to go up against everyone else for this award. So here's an evaluation example that Jamie and I came up with this is a little bit of a cheat code if anyone's paying attention. The partnership award is one of the hardest awards to win, because I think a lot of people just think that, oh, well, I partnered with another city, town, municipality for this program, so therefore it is a partnership. Technically, it is to you guys, but for the partnership award, there's a lot more things involved with that. So the partnership award is intended to celebrate a true community partnership. Identify if your project or program is a good candidate for this award, and you need to ask yourself, my program or project is a strong candidate for the partnership award because it is collaborative. It has multiple partners who worked on an object or on a project. One partner is not just the money and then did nothing the rest of the project. It usually is a blend of public and private partners together. It solved a community need. There was a problem and this partnership program or project solved it, and it was impactful. How many people did and does this program impact? Usually this award has a larger community impact that expands beyond parks and recreation. So you might have those projects. I know Christy's on this call. Pima County is a partner with everyone in Southern Arizona to a certain degree. I will say that Marana won this award 2 years ago, and that partnership involved Pima County Wastewater, Marana Parks and Recreation, and Amazon. That was the private level. So just keep in mind, this is a very difficult award to win, because not every department every year is in that cycle of maybe doing a project like this. But at some point, your department might be doing some kind of like, path upgrade, or whatever it winds up being. Just keep that in mind. And, you also need to save your energy. So if you don't have a partnership award, don't kind of shove a square peg into a round hole. Just try to find another award that fits your programs. All right. So then what do we do next? So you've got your idea, what you're going to write about. You got your team together. Everyone's on the same page. The next thing you need to do is assign a lead writer for each award submission. And that person is ideally the expert in the program being written about. So if we go back to our example soccer program we were talking about, that's super awesome. And now you guys really want to write about it and win a sports award for it. The person that ran the program, like your programmer, your coordinator, your supervisor, usually should be the one that's writing it, just because they understand the nuances of that program in and out. If not that person, somebody who's integrally involved with the program is important. Then you're going to print out your APRA program rubric that we showed you how to get to on the website, and you need to follow it to the letter. Example is word count. So word count is tricky because it's 1,000 words. At least I've written grants where it was by letter count, which is even worse. But word count is, it won't let you, when you submit this award, it won't let you go over 1,000. So just be really cognizantly aware. You can do a word count in your Word document, which I recommend is where you should be writing in Word. Keep in mind that you're going to have to start cutting out adverbs and adjectives if you get over that 1,000 word count. Then you're going to gather your facts, your supporting data, and your program visuals. That was the photography and videography that I was talking about. And then you just start writing the outline in rough draft. One key thing that I do for our team is to do not write in a bubble. Like, you need to share your rough draft early with your, leadership circle, your writing circle. More eyes catch mistakes, and you may get good or better ideas from your colleagues. So just so everybody understands the writing process, everyone's different. I totally get it. But the best practices is not to have an ego when you're writing one of these. If you get criticism or constructive criticism, or you get someone going, you know what, don't you remember when we did the soccer program and that one nonprofit showed up and they started handing out ice cream, and it's like, oh yeah, those are the moments that make the meat and potatoes of the submission better. And the other part about that is you get so blinded by your own writing because you're just living in it in your brain and that voice in your head that you don't see it when someone else will catch it. So just make sure that you're open to making your submission better by letting other people write it. And just as a general rule of writing, the rough draft of anything is not done. Just rough drafts usually are, the rough is there for a reason. And then pro tip, does your department or city have a grant writer on staff, and see if they will read your submission and offer you feedback. They do this for a living. So each award that you're writing is kind of like, it's not a grant, but it's almost like a mini grant to a certain degree. And your grant writers on your staff and your town, they can probably give you really great advice on what to do if they have some critiques on your writing. All right, so we're going to get to submittal. We're getting to that point where we've got a rough draft. You really want to be doing this a month out, at least from April 30th, which is the deadline. That is, the early bird deadline is the 1st of April, I believe, and the final submission date is April 30th. And Jamie is shaking her head yes, so I think that's right. 1 month out at least, take your rough draft, read it out loud. That's one other trick of the trade I can tell everybody, is that when you read your words out loud, even if you think you know it in and out because you wrote it, you will catch all the little things, like those little finite grammar details. Oh, there should be a comma there. You can't catch that if you don't read it out loud. And then you're going to edit and rewrite. Be mindful of the rubric in your word count. Have your awards team give notes and edit. And then you're going to match your visuals, your marketing pieces to your submission. 1 to 2 weeks from your deadline, at least, when your rough drafts are returned from your writing team with no notes, your final draft is likely complete. And then you're going to submit your award. And then this is per the award committee's request. This is directly from Jamie. Avoid turning in your submissions on the last possible day, which is April 30th. It's best to turn in your submissions at least 1 or 2 weeks before the deadline, if not earlier. And I can tell you from past experience, like I turn Miranda's submissions in, I get them from everybody else. I don't write all of them, but when they all get put in, it's me putting them in, and we have caught things. And Jamie has switched out. I'll email her and say, "Oh shoot, so and so realized that the last sentence had a run on or some whatever it was." And Jamie will take the most recent draft that I email her, and that's the one that gets submitted to the judges. So give yourself the grace of time by submitting early, because there's a chance you might catch something and it might be silly, but if people are winning by a quarter of a point, you probably want to make sure it's the cleanest version of your submission possible. So just don't do it on the last day.
Shelby, let me just jump in real quick to add to that. So last year, some of you may find this amazing, but last year I had received 30 supplements prior to April 30th. I received 80 supplements the 2 days before the deadline. So when I'm receiving stuff early enough, I had a city who submitted 2 different coordinators submitted for the exact same program. Because they submitted it 30 days in advance, I called them and I said, "Hey, do you really want to compete against each other for the exact same program?" And again, going back to Shelby, if you guys brainstorm and do this as a team, you would have known. But they had an opportunity to pick which submittal they wanted to leave. And then they were able to get a refund for the other one. If that would have happened 2 days prior to the deadline, I'm not going to catch it and I'm not going to care. It is going to be both of those are going to go in. Both of them are going to get scored, and you're going to pay for two fees for the exact same program. So please I used to say if you cared about me as an individual, you wouldn't wait until 2 days before, but that doesn't work because nobody knows me anymore in APRA, nor do they care. So if you care about your program enough, please at least submit 2 weeks before the deadline. If not, try to meet that early bird. So that way, sometimes I'll get multiple submittals and half of them are halfway done because you can't figure out how to submit it. Give yourself the grace. So I promise you, I will work with you. But once that deadline hits, I will not change anything after April 30th. It stands where it is.
Yep. And she's gonna stick to her guns. So this is just a kind of summary of what we've talked about, a little bit more of a graphic for people that need visuals. But obviously you're gonna brainstorm. I would start that now if I were you. Gather your writing team, including your department leadership and invested staff. And that's a key word, by the way. We just got together with our team last week, as I mentioned, and we were kind of brainstorming, and we looked at our natural resource supervisor and said, "Hey, what about, this education program and this?" And he's like, "Nope." And we said, "What about this?" "Nope." And he's just wasn't feeling it. He's like, I have a couple that are, in the hopper, but they're not ready yet. I think they're ready for next year. And so if something isn't ready and someone on your staff says, "Hey guys, I don't think we're there yet. Like, I'm the person that runs this program. I have some photos and things that I want to collect over the next year because I think in about a year I'm going to be ready." Make sure that we're not forcing awards just for awards' sake. Like, really thoughtful, honest evaluation of your programs and if they're award ready, and when they're ready and your staff are invested, they're going to be better writers. Because if you force someone to write something that they don't know a lot about or they don't want to do, it really does translate, unless you are a professional level writer, it's going to translate into that award, and it really is probably not going to win. So keep that in mind. You're going to craft your submission. Again, that person is ideally the expert at that program because they ran it or they were involved. Gather your facts and supporting data. Start writing the outline and the rough draft. And then design. The design pieces in here because if you're not necessarily savvy with designing things, if you don't know Canva or you don't know Adobe Illustrator or anything like that, again, that's why I said get your communications department involved because they can make something for you after they've read your submission because the submission again needs to match the marketing and the marketing needs to match the submission. If you're writing about a soccer program and you put a picture of kids playing flag football, what do those two things have to do with each other? So just make sure again that people are all on the same page on your team. If you're not making your own marketing pieces, make sure your communications or your maybe someone in your department's really good at it, but they're not a communications person. Make sure they are on the same page as you for your submission. About a month out or two, refining, take your rough draft, read it out loud, edit and rewrite. And rewrite sometimes aren't something where you're just striking out full paragraphs, but you're wordsmithing, you're fixing, you're taking out adjectives. Be mindful of your rubric and your word count. Oh, that's misspelled word count. Have your writing team edit and give notes. See, I just gave myself notes in real time. And then you're going to submit, as we talked about, you are going to submit giving yourself at least a week or two in advance, just in case you catch something. Jamie might catch something. And then obviously you're submitting your award with time to spare. If you submit before the early bird, you save a little money. If you submit by April 30th or like ideally around April 15th, then it's just going to be the regular price.
And like Shelby mentioned, your supplementals could be the difference between winning and losing. And please note that it specifically states that it is 2 8.5 by 11 pages that can be uploaded for your supplement. If you're having difficulty uploading those, you contact me. If you are doing it before the deadline, I will help you meet that deadline. If you simply just send us a link, you are going to lose 10 points. We want those 8.5 by 11 supplements. You can put links, but please make sure you back that up with pictures. If you're putting in your mayor, don't just give us his headshot. Take that 8.5 by 11 space and you fill it with pictures at every event, kissing babies, shaking hands, getting dirty, his headshot, his, cram as much as you can, but make it look like you just didn't cram it, right? Like we don't want the 1998 clip art supplement. We want something that is because like I said, I would say 80% of the time you could be losing to somebody based on your supplements. And always submit 2. You get 10 points for supplements. Doesn't matter which category. If you only submit 1, it is most likely that you're only going to get 5 points because somebody's going to look at that and they'll be like, they missed out. They had 10 points. They only did half the work, so they're getting half the points. Don't use your supplements as an extension of your submission where it's all words. We want to see pictures. We want to see, I've seen really cool things where people have taken snapshots from Facebook of comments or pictures of survey results. It can be a bunch of different things, but it needs to be well designed, well put together, and don't leave yourself any room to miss out on points.
Yeah, that's something I like to tell my kids when we're working on getting ready for a test. I'm like, don't leave points on the table. Like there are things that you can do to make sure that you get the max points before you even start working on the question or the problem for the test. So in this case, follow the rubric, try to get as many points as possible in that rubric. One thing I just like to point out to people is that anything called the APRA Best of the Best requires time and attention. Award writing, much like grant writing, is not a hastily thrown together process. I really strongly advise everyone, do not wait until like April 1st for someone on your team to go, hey, maybe we should write an award submission for APRA this year because all of our team are going to go this time. And, you need to start thinking about it now, and you need to really put time and effort into it, because the reward of winning, there's a lot of reward to winning. But at the end of the day, you're trying to highlight the program that makes your town special and how you serve your community. Next thought here is, if you and your team think your program or programs are truly award worthy, then the approach to submitting awards should be strategic, thoughtful, and focused. Stick to your timeline, write, edit, rewrite as needed. Many eyes catch mistakes. Follow the award rubric and mind your word counts. I know that I am being very repetitive. I am being repetitive on purpose because everyone gets caught off guard by the word count situation. And Jamie has stories where people just were turned in like a ton, like they didn't even, I think they emailed you like pages and pages and pages that was clearly over 1,000 words. So you have to think about, one thing I like to tell our staff is, pretend that I'm a judge. I know nothing about your program. Do not assume that somebody knows the layout of your place. Maybe you're writing about a park or something. Everything needs to make sense, and it needs to make sense like somebody's reading it for the first time. So again, like, your familiarity with something does not translate to the judging panel. Most people reading that have no idea about your program. They are learning it fresh, and it needs to be something that really had a lot of time and energy and effort put into it to make it like a fully realized, fully formed thought that they can understand and judge. And then again, we're being repetitive per the award committee's request. If possible, avoid turning in your submissions on the last possible day. It is best to turn in submissions at least 1 to 2 weeks before the deadline, if not earlier. That is just for Jamie's sanity, and also for you, because it gives you a little competitive advantage if you're able to catch something that was wrong, or Jamie catches something that is wrong and she can help you fix it. All right, there we go. Back to you, Jamie.
All right, guys. So we have 15 minutes to spare. So look at us. We're both talkers, so I was just like, we have to find a way to keep this to an hour, which we did. So questions for us that maybe we didn't hit on something you're confused about. Those that got the information they needed, you will not hurt my feelings by jumping off at this point. But we're going to open up the floor. Are we that good?
It's Christy.
Go for it, Christy.
Hey, 2 questions. First, you mentioned early bird, so I got that April 30th was drop dead. What's the early bird?
I believe it is April 1st.
You kidding? Haha.
Yes.
No, it is April 1st. Okay.
Yeah, because it's April Fool's Day. I'm going to double check it, but it's usually April 1st and then April 30th are the 2 deadlines.
Okay. And I just forgot what else I was going to ask. So I'll zoom in.
Actually, the deadline is the 28th.
Oh.
So not the 30th. It's the 28th. April 1st is early bird, and the regular deadline is April 28th.
April 28th. Okay. All right. I think that's all I have right now.
Okay. And down in the, I can see TS.
That's me, Tara. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sorry, I can't see your full names.
Yeah, because I'm on my personal laptop, so I think it's probably not popping up full. But you guys were talking about the supplementals. And you might have mentioned this, and I apologize. Is there a way to submit like video footage supplementals as well?
There is not. So it is very clear that the supplements are 2 8.5 by 11 PDFs. Now,
Okay.
I will say you can, if you put in a hyperlink either within your submittal or within the supplement, it is up to the reviewer if they want to go and look at that information. They do not have to, but if it's there, it's not going to hurt you. Just don't let that be what you put instead of filling that space.
Okay, perfect. That answers perfectly. Thank you.
I've seen people where they have uploaded like 7 pages of supplements. And if to understand the process, I take your supplement and I put it, or I take your submittal, I put it into PDF, and then I will take the first 2 pages of your supplement. So if you gave me 10 pages, I just pick the first 2, and that's what gets sent over. So I'm going to go by initials, so I apologize. RC, Ryan, like the boy.
Yes. So question on the programs, if we have a program that maybe is categorized in several different categories, like you have the active adults, but also serves youth, and it's educational. So what is your advice on picking which category it would fit in? So for example, it's an outdoor program. So what would be your advice on that?
That's a very good question. I've seen them submitted in both, because you want to give yourself the best chance to win. However, you cannot win in multiple program categories. Shelby, I had to make a phone call to Shelby last year because she actually was the highest score in 2 categories, and they had to choose which award they wanted to take home. So, and we've done this. This was a recent change because, again, not everybody sees the same awards. So somebody might not know that you put in for an educational program and cultural awareness and youth enrichment. And we do want to avoid somebody, the intent is not for you to win all the awards for one category. It's to diversify our winners. And so you can only win in one. It's hard to tell. Whatever it meets, score it yourself on the rubrics or have somebody else score both of them if you only want to submit it in one category, and see which one scores the highest in that category and then put it in for that, or put it in for both and know you might be lucky enough to win and have to choose between the 2 categories.
Thank you.
It's not a bad problem to have when Jamie calls you with that phone call, by the way.
Let's go to TA.
So for the active adult programs, is there a specific age limit to that, or is it just programs that usually are frequented by active adults?
It's actually labeled active adult 50 plus. So we are wanting the majority of your participants to be aged 50 or older.
Okay.
So
Okay,
if you
thank
put
you.
in Poor Mesa one year, they put in a great sports program, but it was mostly young adults. And once we clarified that, it kind of took them out of the running for that program.
Okay, so the program itself doesn't need to be, because it's like an 18 plus program that I run, but 99% of the participants are 55 and older. Would that still count?
I would just make sure that that is clear in your submittal.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So we'll go to Joy.
Oh, for those 2 additional supplemental pages, it seems that there's a big emphasis on graphical items and making sure that the information that you need is there. Links can be there, but aren't necessarily the main point. Is it solely graphical, or would something akin to a testimonial or some kind of verbal component be allowed, or would that count against the overall word count in the original submittal?
The submittal does not affect your word count. Your submittal can be, so you can have one page that's a flyer of your event, and you have a beautifully graphic designed flyer that is page 1. Page 2 might be 10 different pictures from the event that have put together with some kind of background, maybe an overlay of a text. You might include a hyperlink at that point to say, you might label it, Fun in the Junction, and then there's a hyperlink. If somebody wanted to go, they could, and it's different pictures. Like I mentioned, it can be screenshots from Facebook posts of people praising. It could be newspaper articles that people have put, that you snippet and put into a supplement, and that could be page 2. I'm not sure what you mean by verbal.
More written. Sorry, verbal was the wrong
Oh,
terminology. But
no,
you've
this
answered
is
my question
visual.
perfectly.
Those supplementals want to be more visual. The writing content is in the supplement or is in the submission. Your supplement is how can we visually see what you're telling us?
Much obliged. Thank you.
I will say, Jamie, there's one caveat to that it's the people submissions. Because I know that sometimes people will use the second page of the marketing and they might do like a half page, like someone did like a letter of recommendation, like a really high up letter of recommendation. That's not usually for the program ones. It's for, like that has been used on the people ones. And the only
Correct,
reason I know
we've
that
seen
that
that.
worked is because you've seen them and then like we've won one where one of our pages was just the letters of recommendation of how awesome that person was. So in that regard, you can use written if it's like making sure that you have other things in your marketing that show the graphic side of it.
And then Tara, sorry, you're the last one I see with a hand raised.
I think I just don't know how to not raise it anymore. I'm sorry. There it goes. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Other questions?
Christy, did you think of your other question?
It was already asked. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
someone else asked it, so thank you.
Between Shelby and I, what I won't do is I won't read your submittal and give you feedback. If I did that for one, then I would have to do it for everybody, and I just won't do that. But I am happy to answer questions as they come up. If you get stuck, if you're confused about something, I am pretty good about responding to email pretty quickly. Again, I cannot stress this enough. I will not reply to you on the weekend before it's due. It's not fair to everyone else if I can't make sure that I can help everybody that weekend. So I kind of, but between now and, mid-April, ask away and I'll be more than happy to point you in the right direction. And I'm pretty honest. Sometimes people don't like my answers. Or they don't think it's fair or whatever, but I try to be as honest as I can. And like I said, I've been doing this I've served on the committee, I've scored awards, I've now been the committee chair for 3 years. I've been doing this for 20 years, so I have some history as to why things are done. I haven't always agreed myself. We've had some knockdown, drag out fights because somebody was in a quarter of a point. But at the end of the day, we all still managed to be friends and the points fall where the points fall. All right, I do appreciate you guys being here. It means that you care enough that you want to be part of that winner's circle. And I hope that this August you're walking across that stage picking up an award for you and your department. But if you're not, I can tell you that I've had a program that I submitted 4 years in a row and it just never won. And sometimes it's just not meant to be, unfortunately. But keep trying. Please keep trying.
Hey, Jamie,
yeah.
Shelby, Christy again. Is it possible for you to share your presentation with us that are participating?
Yeah.
Oh, I know that APRA, so this presentation is being recorded.
Okay.
And I will find out. So I do believe that we did this presentation last year and they posted it on their YouTube channel. So I think it might even still be there, but we're getting better each time we do this. So
yes, much better.
But I will say it means so we did this at conference and we had about between 20 and 25 people attend it in conference. So everybody's getting the same information. So I just think it's going to get harder and harder on the conference committee. They're going to probably tell me to stop doing this because it is nice when you get that one that's very clear that they don't know how to write and it makes it easy. But every year it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, and I didn't mean it as a competitive advantage. I just meant, is it going to be available?
It would, no, it should be, and I prefer it to be. I think everybody should be able to have access to it. Again, the more we can help you guys in actuality, it does make it easier. It makes it really easy to score an award that that is very easy to read, where we're not having to find the information and look for it and it's all over the place, or that the supplements, you know, is it 1 page, is it 2 pages, there's link, like, so it makes it easy for us by giving, you know, by having this available. So I will push APRA to get it edited a little bit and then throw it up so that it can be accessible.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, if you have anything else that you really wanted to ask, but you were too embarrassed, feel free to email both of us or whichever one you think can answer it better. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing your submittals by April 1st.
Thank you both.
All right.
Thank
You guys can jump off. Thank you.